She thought she was outsmarting me, but she had no idea I was 10 steps ahead. By the time she asked for a divorce, I had already sealed her fate. No alimony. No custody. Nothing. Here's how I turned the tables on my cheating wife. My name is Jake, and for the past 10 years, I was married to a woman named Natalie. If you had asked me a few years ago, I would have told you I had a solid marriage, one built on love, trust, and commitment. Turns out, I couldn't have been more wrong. Natalie had been planning to leave me, convinced she'd walk away with half of everything. She thought she had it all figured out, but what she didn't realize was that I was 3 steps ahead. Looking back, I guess I should have seen it coming. But in the beginning, things were different. She was sweet, affectionate, even proud to call me her husband. For a while, I actually believed we were happy. But slowly, things changed. She started nitpicking. At first, I brushed it off as harmless teasing, but over time, it escalated. She began comparing me to other men, coworkers, friends, even random guys we'd see in passing. Why can't you be more ambitious like James? You see how Kevin takes his wife on vacations? Must be nice. Frank always knows how to fix things around the house. You should learn from him. It was always someone else. Someone taller. Someone richer. Someone better. No matter what I did, it was never enough. If I worked late, I wasn't making enough money. If I came home early, I lacked ambition. If I surprised her with gifts, I was reckless with money. If I didn't, I was neglecting her. There was no winning. And yet, I stayed. Not for her, but for our daughter. I refused to let her grow up in a broken home. So I endured it. The constant criticism. The passive-aggressive remarks. The coldness. Then came the moment that changed everything. It was a regular Saturday afternoon. I was lounging on the couch, scrolling through my phone, when my daughter walked up to me with that hopeful little smile kids get when they're about to ask for something. "Daddy, can we get ice cream?" she asked, eyes wide with expectation. I chuckled and shook my head. "Sweetheart, you know ice cream isn't good for you all the time, too much sugar." It was something I had told her 100 times before. But this time, instead of pouting or trying to negotiate like usual, she simply shrugged and said, "But Uncle Ben always gets me ice cream." My entire body went rigid. I forced myself to stay calm, to keep my expression neutral. But inside, I was already unraveling. Who the hell was Uncle Ben? Keeping my voice light, I asked, "Oh yeah. Who's Uncle Ben?" She didn't even hesitate. "Mommy's friend. He comes when you're at work or when you go on your trips. He buys me ice cream and cookies." I felt like the air had been sucked out of the room. A child her age doesn't make up something like that, especially not with such casual honesty. To her, there was nothing unusual about it. I forced a smile. "Oh, I see. That's nice of him." She nodded and ran off to play, blissfully unaware that she had just shattered the illusion I had been clinging to. Natalie had a male friend who came over when I wasn't around. I didn't confront her. Not yet. Instead, I did something better. I started watching. And that's when I began to notice the cracks in the foundation of my marriage, the ones that had been there all along. Natalie started leaving the house a lot more than usual. At first, I didn't think much of it, people get busy. But then, the excuses became routine. She always had some errand to run, yet she'd be gone for hours. Gym sessions that somehow lasted half the day. Sudden outings with friends I had never even heard of before. And whenever I asked something simple, "Where did you go? Why did that take so long?" she got defensive, like I had no right to ask. That was the first red flag. The second? Her phone. It was always on silent. Always flipped face down on the table. She took it with her everywhere, even to the bathroom. If it rang while we were in the same room, she'd snatch it up and walk away before answering. And the few times I casually glanced over, I'd see her swiping notifications away fast, like she didn't want me to see who was texting. That was new. We had never kept secrets before. But now, it felt like she was hiding an entirely separate life from me. And then there was her attitude. It was like she had flipped a switch overnight. Every little thing I did seemed to irritate her. She started picking fights over the smallest things, things that never used to bother her. And then I noticed something strange. These arguments always seemed to happen right before she needed some air, or had to step out for a bit. It was like she was looking for an excuse to leave. And the easiest way to do that? Make me the bad guy. At first, I never suspected her of cheating. I kept trying to fix things, asking if she was stressed, if something was bothering her. But every time I tried, she shut me down. So I stopped asking. And instead, I started watching. Then came the night that changed everything. I was sitting at my desk in the bedroom, jotting down some notes, when my pen ran out of ink. I glanced around, looking for a spare, when I spotted Natalie's handbag sitting open on the dresser. I reached inside, feeling around for a pen, when my fingers brushed against something small and plastic. Without thinking, I pulled it out. It was a prescription bottle. At first, I barely registered what I was holding. The name of the medication didn't ring a bell, so I grabbed my phone and typed it into Google. Within seconds, my stomach dropped. The medication was used to treat sexually transmitted diseases. And I hadn't been with Natalie in months. If she was taking this, there was only one explanation. Natalie was sleeping with someone else. I heard the water shut off in the bathroom. My hands were shaking as I quickly put the bottle back, making sure everything looked exactly as it had before. I didn't want her to know what I had just discovered. I could have confronted her right then and there. But instead, I played along. Texas is a fault-based divorce state. If I could prove her infidelity, she wouldn't just lose her claim to alimony, she could end up paying me damages. That realization changed everything. Instead of reacting, I set a trap. The first thing I did was hire a divorce lawyer, someone who specialized in cases like this. He laid out exactly what I needed: proof. Solid proof that would hold up in court. That's when I brought in a private investigator. It took over a month before the PI came back with results. But when he did, it confirmed everything. Natalie wasn't just cheating, she was bold about it. There were photos of her meeting up with this guy in different places. But the worst part? She had the audacity to bring him into our home. Yeah, you heard that right. When I was at work, she was inviting him into our house. The PI had timestamps. Photos. Videos. Multiple occasions where this guy's car was parked right outside our home. At that point, any lingering feelings I had for her, gone. This wasn't just betrayal. This was disrespect. And then there was our daughter. I had always suspected Natalie was neglecting her, but now, I was seeing it with my own eyes. She would leave for hours, sometimes missing bedtime entirely, just to be with him. She was absent. My lawyer made it clear, if I could prove she was neglecting our child, I could file for full custody. And that's exactly what I planned to do. Natalie had no idea what was coming. She thought she had me fooled, believing she was in control. But in reality, I had been silently building my case, piece by piece, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. When it came to finances, I knew exactly how ruthless she could be. If I didn't take precautions, she wouldn't hesitate to bleed me dry. So before anything else, I secured what mattered most, my daughter's future. I transferred all my major assets into accounts under her name, setting them up as college savings funds and legally structuring them as inheritance accounts. On paper, everything now belonged to my daughter. Since those accounts were strictly for her future, Natalie couldn't touch a dime. It wasn't as simple as just moving money around. I consulted a lawyer to make sure every detail was airtight. Once it was done, there was no reversing it. This wasn't about revenge. It was about protection. If I left my assets in our joint accounts and filed for divorce, Natalie could have claimed half, maybe even more if she played her cards right. But with everything tied to our daughter's future, it was no longer mine to lose. All I needed was to be named my daughter's legal custodian, and I'd still have full control. And then, just like that, the moment I had been waiting for arrived. After yet another argument, Natalie finally said the words. "I want a divorce." She folded her arms and stared at me, waiting, expecting me to beg, to panic, to fight for her. I didn't. I had been ready for this long before she ever considered saying it out loud. I wanted out just as badly, maybe even more. So instead of arguing, I just smiled and said, "Okay." That one word threw her off. She blinked, caught off guard, like she hadn't expected it to be this easy. In her mind, she was about to walk away with half of everything, plus alimony to keep her comfortable. She had no idea that I had spent months preparing for this exact moment. The next morning, before she could even start talking about how we should divide things fairly, I had my lawyer serve her with the divorce papers. She was still in her robe, sitting at the breakfast table, when she opened the envelope. I watched as the reality sank in, her face shifting from smug confidence to silent panic. The papers outlined everything. Not only was she not getting alimony, but she might even have to pay me damages. For the first time in a long time, Natalie was speechless. She looked at me, wide-eyed, as if she was seeing me for the first time. The fall. At the start of the proceedings, Natalie still carried herself like she was in control. She probably thought she could talk her way out of this, find a loophole, twist the narrative in her favor. But she was wrong. The private investigator had done a thorough job. There were photos, timestamps, videos, all concrete evidence of her affair. And when the court saw it, there was no denying what had been going on. Then came the knockout punch. The STD medication. I had taken photos the night I found it. I still remember the way her face drained of color when my lawyer presented the evidence. There it was, documented proof that she had been treating an infection. An infection she sure as hell didn't get from me. The judge didn't even try to hide his disapproval. In Texas, a fault-based divorce state, infidelity doesn't just ruin your reputation, it changes everything. Natalie was the one who broke our vows. She lost her right to alimony. She had expected a payday. Instead, she walked away with nothing. And to top it all off, because her affair directly led to the divorce, there was even a chance she'd have to pay me damages. But the worst blow, the one that completely shattered her, was the custody ruling. The consequences. My lawyer laid out everything. The night she left our daughter home alone to meet her lover. The reckless spending. The way she prioritized her affair over her own family. The judge didn't hesitate. He saw her for exactly what she was, an unfit mother. Full custody was awarded to me. No shared parenting. No weekends. No back-and-forth arrangement. Natalie was reduced to nothing more than a visitor in her own child's life. By the time the ruling was finalized, I had already safeguarded my assets. The house, the savings. Everything had been structured in a way that she couldn't touch. When we walked out of that courtroom, she wasn't the same woman who had confidently demanded a divorce. The regret. I won't lie. There was a time when I might have tried to fix things, for the sake of our daughter, for the years we had spent together. But that time is long gone. Some mistakes can't be undone. And some people only regret their actions when they realize the consequences. That's exactly what happened to Natalie. At first, she acted like she didn't care. But the moment she realized she was getting nothing, that she was losing custody, that she had no financial safety net, suddenly, she wasn't so sure about leaving anymore. The calls started. The long messages about how we had so many good years together, how she made a mistake, how our daughter needed both of us. But where was that concern for our family when she was sneaking around? Where was all that regret when she was lying to my face? I stayed firm. She tried every trick in the book: guilt, fake remorse, even blaming me for not fighting for our marriage. But you can't fight for something that the other person has already set on fire. She wasn't sorry for what she did. She was sorry she got caught. And even sorrier that I didn't let her walk away with the life she thought she deserved. Now, I'm free. Not just legally, mentally, emotionally, financially. I can finally focus on my daughter. On building a life where I don't have to walk on eggshells, wondering what lie I'm being told today. I learned a lot from this. Never ignore the signs. If something feels off, trust your instincts. Always protect yourself. Emotionally. Financially. If I hadn't taken the steps I did, I would have been the one left with nothing. Some people only respect you when they realize they can't take advantage of you anymore. So what do you guys think? Did I handle it the right way? What would you have done in my shoes? Let me know in the comments. And remember. She thought she was playing me. Turns out, she was playing herself. This story is a powerful reminder that betrayal isn't just about broken trust, it's about consequences. When someone cheats, they aren't just disrespecting their partner, they're gambling with their entire future. Natalie thought she could have it all: a marriage for security and an affair for excitement. She never expected her husband to be one step ahead. The key takeaway here is self-preservation. If something feels off in a relationship, pay attention. Trust your instincts, but don't react emotionally, act strategically. Jake didn't explode in anger or beg for answers. Instead, he observed, gathered proof, and ensured he came out on top when it mattered. He legally safeguarded his assets, protected his child's future, and used the system to his advantage. Another lesson. Cheaters only regret it when they lose everything. Natalie wasn't sorry for betraying her husband, she was sorry. She got caught. And even sorrier that I didn't let her walk away with the life she thought she deserved. Now, I'm free. Not just legally, mentally, emotionally, financially. I can finally focus on my daughter. On building a life where I don't have to walk on eggshells, wondering what lie I'm being told today. I learned a lot from this. Never ignore the signs. If something feels off, trust your instincts. Always protect yourself. Emotionally. Financially. If I hadn't taken the steps I did, I would have been the one left with nothing. Some people only respect you when they realize they can't take advantage of you anymore. So what do you guys think? Did I handle it the right way? What would you have done in my shoes? Let me know in the comments. And remember. She thought she was playing me. Turns out, she was playing herself. This story is a powerful reminder that betrayal isn't just about broken trust, it's about consequences. When someone cheats, they aren't just disrespecting their partner, they're gambling with their entire future. Natalie thought she could have it all: a marriage for security and an affair for excitement. She never expected her husband to be one step ahead. The key takeaway here is self-preservation. If something feels off in a relationship, pay attention. Trust your instincts, but don't react emotionally, act strategically. Jake didn't explode in anger or beg for answers. Instead, he observed, gathered proof, and ensured he came out on top when it mattered. He legally safeguarded his assets, protected his child's future, and used the system to his advantage. Another lesson. Cheaters only regret it when they lose everything. Natalie wasn't sorry for betraying her husband, She was sorry she got caught and lost the life she expected. Some people will only respect your worth when they can no longer take advantage of you. In the end, the best revenge isn't anger, it's freedom. The ability to walk away, with your dignity, your future, and everything they thought they could take from you.